What is going on, ladies and germs? We got another episode of CAR TAWK for you here today. Now, we're not in a car, so I guess we're just going to have an episode of TAWK today. But it's been a while. I'm back. I'm ready to chat a little bit. And I've got a really, really interesting topic that's on the tip of everyone's tongue recently, especially starting in the month of January, and that is Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. I know you've heard the name before. I'm basically just going to be going by her acronym of AOC here, just so we all know. But I really want to get a really quick, basically the dummy's guide to who she is and how she got in this position, because I think there's a lot of people out there who may have heard the name but don't know really some basic things about her and how she got in the position. First and foremost, she's only 29 years old. That's nothing. It's basically my age. She's very, very young, and she's already a representative. Very impressive story. So, for lack of better words, let's begin. Let's do this. CAR TAWK, here we go again. I'm glad to be back, I have to say. So let's start this out. First and foremost, Ocasio-Cortez was born in the Bronx, okay? She graduated from Boston University. She led a grassroots campaign that was greatly underfunded to defeat Joseph Crowley. Okay, Joseph Crowley was the representative for New York's 14th Congressional District before Ocasio-Cortez was, okay? Now, in case you can't tell by his name, Joseph Crowley is white, very white, and to the point where his mother immigrated from Northern Ireland, okay? So, in this part of the Bronx, we have a white man who's much older than Ocasio-Cortez, whose mother immigrated from Ireland, so he's a white Irishman. Maybe he doesn't quite fit the demographics of the area. Now, how do we know this? Well, let's look at this for a second here. New York's 14th Congressional District is 18% white, 11% black, and 49% Hispanic. Actually, 49.8% Hispanic, which is darn near 50%. So you have to realize that Ocasio-Cortez was elected as much for what she said on her platform, as much as how people could relate to her who live in the district. You have to understand, Joseph Crowley isn't that relatable when you have almost half of the entire district is Hispanic, yet only 18% is white. So there's something there. There's something to that. There's something to that reason. She's new, and she's also very smart. She's got a lot going for her, and she did graduate cum laude from Boston University, so she's got the smarts. All excellent reasons for people to vote for her, but she is very new to this whole politician game, and she doesn't really have much experience. So why did she win? Well, what did she run on? She's a progressive. She's also a socialist. She advocates for free college tuition, which for a guy like me, that sounds excellent, sounds wonderful. But she also advocates for abolishing immigration enforcement. She advocates for a 70% tax for people making $10 million or more dollars a year. Now, I love the way that sounds, but in order for her to have free college and a lot of the things that she needs the government to pay for, you need people to pay those taxes. Are you going to get 70% taxes from the rich? I have a hard time believing that, but I love the way it sounds. And she also wants higher investment in renewable energy, just to name a few things. Now, for all of you who believe that taxing the rich doesn't quite work, in the 50s and 60s, you might be forgetting that the individual income could be taxed at 90%. That's 9-0 at the top rate. And living standards in the 50s and early 60s actually improved greatly for Americans during that time. So it is possible to tax higher, especially people who make, tens of millions of dollars. I personally think it should be you should be making more money to be taxed at 70%. I think you should be making over $100 million to be taxed at 70%. But for her to say 10 million, look, I respect the heck out of it. I don't necessarily think it'll ever happen. But I do like where she's going with that, and I think that some people that make obscene amounts of money should be taxed high. Now, the argument against this, of course, is that it discourages risk at the top. So these people are already rich, and they're going to find every way in their power to find every loophole, tax loophole that is, to avoid having to pay such high taxes, her 70% like she says. Now, you also have to realize that when it comes to, it does discourage risk. So for a guy like Steve Jobs, for a guy like Warren Buffett, for a guy like Bill Gates. These are all people who have made fortunes, absolute fortunes. These are billionaires, very rich people. But maybe they wouldn't be who they are today, and they wouldn't have all this money if they were taxed so much in the first place. And I think some people worry that that would deter investment, and it would deter the people with all this money to basically supply jobs, create jobs, such as Apple created many jobs. There's also a very good argument for that as well. So let's go over just a couple other things that Ocasio-Cortez advocates for that might sound good and might not sound good depending on how you look at it. She advocates for free college. So I went over that a little earlier, and I think that's a great idea. For a guy like me who will probably have student debt until maybe I die, it sounds excellent. And for a guy like me, I'm jumping on board. Heck, I might even vote for her just for that single reason alone for free college, because for my kids in the future, I sure as heck don't want to have them pay nearly as much as I had to pay. And I didn't even go to a private university, mind you. So that sounds really good on paper. Now, the issue is that many people from around the world come to America to attend college. We have some of the best universities in the world, and that is because of their endowment. That is because of the fact that they charge tuition. The issue is that many of these colleges, or at least public colleges, if you decided, okay, well, they don't have to pay, you don't have to pay to go to school there anymore, are going to have to find ways to get that money other places. Now, the democratic, or should I say usually progressive and socialist way of doing this is to tax higher. And there will always be Republicans and conservatives that will fight tooth and nail so that they do not have to pay higher taxes. That's a hard sell for Ms. Cortez, because she's going to have to try to get people to pay more taxes in order to be able to have things such as free college. I don't quite see that going over well, and personally, I don't see it happening. Would it be nice? Absolutely. But the realist in me says, good luck with that, Alexandria. Abolishing immigration enforcement, and of course ICE, is something that she wants to just completely abolish. I think it depends on how you look at that and who you are coming from your perspective. I know that she has been working with Hispanics her entire life and sees that there is a discrepancy between many minorities in this country when it comes to wealth and when it comes to opportunity, and especially when it comes to power, which also helped her run. The issue with abolishing ICE is that we're losing the rule of law, and we're also losing a lot of taxes, which kind of would come to bite a lot of her programs in the butt. There is a correct way to come into this country. There is a legal way. I have close friends and confidants who have done it the right way. It's not easy. It takes time, and oftentimes you do need to offer something to the country. Or go to school, or find ways to stay in this country. But there are many ways, and it's not an easy path. I do not envy those people born in other countries who are trying to become full-time American citizens. But there is a path, there is a way to do it, and there is a way to do it legally. I believe that that is the right way to do it. We do need an overhaul in the system. There's absolutely no question about that. I agree with that 110%. Is the right way to do it to abolish immigration enforcement? I don't necessarily agree with that. I also think you're losing out on a lot of taxes, which is extremely important to Ms. Cortez if she wants some of her ideas to pass. The 70% tax rate increase, I personally love it. And in my opinion, the people that, while they have created jobs, nobody is worth. One human being is not worth 500 million human beings. Any way you cut it, any way you slice it. There had to become a lot of luck. There had to have a lot of investment. A lot of things had to fall in line for these people to get in their positions. Do they deserve to be wealthy people? Absolutely. Do they deserve to have more wealth than hundreds of thousands of Americans, sometimes millions of Americans combined? I don't believe that. So when you are making tens of millions of dollars, you should be taxed higher. 70% is too high, and it will not work. But this is what Ms. Cortez wants, and this is what she believes is possible. Is it possible? I think so. Will it happen? No, because just because something's possible doesn't mean it's good for the country. I do agree with a 70% tax on people who are making obscene amounts of money, such as billionaires. But again, this is never going to happen because people with money are able to make decisions and choices and are oftentimes very close to politicians. I can't think of anyone off the top of my head right now, but I know there are a few out there. Just a few, I'm sure. Renewable energy. This right here is something nobody can disagree with. Besides, I'm sure a few people out there who disagree with it, but it's very difficult to disagree with it because renewable energy is the future. It's important, and it makes everyday people be able to have things that they would have never been able to have in the past. Renewable energy is extremely important in America to this day, and I don't think there's any argument against Ocasio-Cortez when it comes to this. I think everything she has to say about renewable energy is excellent. The issue is where the money is going to come from for a lot of these programs, and of course, she will oftentimes point to taxes. Yes, you can get money from taxes, as I've said in the past. It's just very difficult to raise your average person's taxes. So it oftentimes has to be the wealthy. Good luck with taxing the wealthy in the capitalist paradise of the United States because it just doesn't go over that well. So I like it. Good ideas. Will they happen? But I guess I just don't know. But I like the ideas. In a nutshell, AOC is a very smart woman. She is a very beautiful woman who has put in the time and she has deserved her spot. When it comes down to her economic policy and how she plans on doing things, do they make sense? Not entirely. But does it matter? Not entirely. Because when it comes down to it, almost 50% of the district is Hispanic. And when it comes down to it, they want to vote for people like them. Oftentimes, it doesn't quite so matter exactly what your message is as long as you're saying a message that sounds resounding. Someone that looks like me is actually saying something that I like to hear. I don't care about the economics behind it. I just want this woman to win and help me out. This has been another car talk, and not a car talk, I guess just a talk. Thanks for coming by. Thanks for listening. You know I got to make another one of these. I got to do these a little bit more often than I do. And I definitely will. I am not for or against AOC. I am not Republican. I am not Democrat. I just like to give opinions and kind of give a very small look into people's lives, people that you may not know otherwise. So thanks a lot for your time, everybody. In my next episode, I really would like to do something about the ultra rich and wealthy. This has been a Car Talk. Have a good one.